Good morning, Alex and friends. I'm Grace. Today is Monday, November 17th, 2025, and you're listening to Alex's News. The high in Riverside today is 61.3 degrees, with a low of 54.8, so expect a mild fall day perfect for bundling up just a bit if you're heading out. Coming up on the show, we'll examine why recent immigration raids in Charlotte are igniting protests and spreading fear among communities, unpacking the tensions and human stories behind the headlines. We'll also touch on other developments from around the world, including international space missions and economic shifts. All this and more coming up on Alex's News. Stay tuned. Good morning, everyone. We begin today's coverage with a developing story out of Charlotte, North Carolina, where a major immigration enforcement operation over the weekend has left the community reeling. Dubbed Operation Charlotte's Web, a clever play on that classic children's tale about a clever spider spinning a trap, this effort by federal agents has resulted in more than 80 arrests and sparked widespread protests and fears. Joining me now to break it all down is our reporter Ethan. Ethan, take us through what happened this weekend.
Thanks, Grace. Yes, on November 15th and 16th, U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents, directed by the Department of Homeland Security, swept through Charlotte, the state's largest city, with about 950,000 residents. According to reports from WCNC and the Charlotte Observer, the operation involved hundreds of federal agents, targeting what officials call criminal illegal aliens, meaning undocumented immigrants with serious criminal records. They made at least 81 arrests in just 5 hours on the first day alone, with the total climbing past 80 by Sunday's end, and the Department of Homeland Security even suggested nearly 100 by Saturday evening, as covered by CBS News. It's part of the Trump administration's push to ramp up enforcement nationwide.
That sounds intense, Ethan. Who was leading this operation, and what kind of places did they hit?
The operation was led by CBP Border Patrol Sector Chief Gregory Bovino, who has a track record from similar sweeps in Chicago and Los Angeles. He is currently heading the sector in El Centro, California, and he announced the arrests on social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter. Eyewitness accounts and social media videos, documented by The Guardian and PBS NewsHour, show green uniformed agents in vans and SUVs stopping people at diverse spots in immigrant-heavy neighborhoods like South Boulevard, Central Avenue, and Albemarle Road. They targeted shopping centers, apartment complexes, even churches, hardware stores, and busy intersections. No coordination with immigration and customs enforcement in those exact spots, per those WCNC and Charlotte Observer reports.
Churches and stores? That must have felt invasive. What are the federal justifications for all this, especially given Charlotte's local policies?
Absolutely, Grace. Federal officials say it's all about public safety, pointing to Charlotte's Democratic-leaning leadership and what they term sanctuary policies. For folks unfamiliar, sanctuary policies mean local authorities like the Mecklenburg County jails don't honor ICE detainers, which are basically requests to hold someone for up to 48 hours so immigration officers can pick them up. The Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department also doesn't assist in these enforcement actions, as noted in reporting from Oregon Public Broadcasting and WFAE. The Department of Homeland Security claims about 1,400 such detainers have been ignored across North Carolina, letting what they call criminal illegal aliens back into communities. DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin put it bluntly in a press release quoted by the Washington Post and on DHS.gov. We are surging DHS law enforcement to Charlotte to ensure Americans are safe and public safety threats are removed. She added that Americans should be able to live without fear of violent criminal illegal aliens hurting them, their families, or their neighbors.
Specific examples? Bovino mentioned some on social media, right?
He did, Grace, to highlight the focus on serious offenders. One example was a man with multiple drunk driving convictions, someone Bovino said was taken off the streets of Charlotte, so he can't continue to ignore our laws and drive intoxicated on the same roads you and your loved ones are on. Another was an individual deported 4 times with records of aggravated assault, assault with a dangerous weapon, hit and run, and more drunk driving. There was also a woman arrested on felony larceny charges, meaning theft of significant value. Broader Department of Homeland Security examples from previously released folks due to those unhonored detainers include heavy charges like murder, sexual battery, indecent liberties with a child, first-degree sexual exploitation of a minor, attempted statutory sexual offense, solicitation of a child by computer, carrying a concealed weapon, vehicle theft, burglary, drug possession, resisting arrest, and fleeing or eluding arrest. All this per CBS News and the Charlotte Observer. They're defending it as a crime-fighting necessity, even though local data from Charlotte leaders shows crime rates have been steadily declining, as emphasized in coverage by The Guardian and PBS NewsHour.
And the community response? I've seen reports of fear-gripping neighborhoods.
It's been devastating, Grace. The raids turned vibrant Latino and immigrant areas into what some call ghost towns over the weekend. Businesses on Central Avenue and similar spots shut down voluntarily, schools had lower attendance, and people skipped medical appointments, jobs, and even grocery runs. Spokespeople from nonprofits like Camino and Siembra NC told The Guardian and Oregon Public Broadcasting that, for instance, Camino's dental clinic had 9 cancellations on November 15th alone. Paula Garcia from Camino described immigrants as hard workers and people of faith who fled socialism and communism, now feeling like they have a target on their back. Siembra NC activists even distributed whistles through social media videos to alert neighbors if agents were spotted, calling the raids a shameful day for the North Carolina Republican Party and accusing them of endorsing what they termed terrorist operations under the guise of crime fighting. It exceeded the state's previous single-day arrest record of 30 from June 2025.
Protests, too, I understand. What happened there?
Yes, on November 15th, hundreds rallied at First Ward Park in uptown Charlotte under the banner No Border Patrol in Charlotte. Covered by The Guardian and WSOC-TV, with photos from Anadolu Getty Images, demonstrators clashed with agents in some cases, leading to at least 2 protest-related arrests handled by the local FBI office, per the Washington Post. Greg Asiuto, executive director of Charlotte East, described the reports of federal activity near churches and apartments as overwhelming and countless in interviews with PBS NewsHour and WCNC. City Council member-elect J.D. Maswera Arias called targeting places of worship a gross violation of the right to worship, saying churches should remain sanctuaries for those seeking hope and faith in dark times.
Any incidents of overreach, like with U.S. citizens?
Unfortunately, yes. At least one U.S. citizen, Willie Akituno, was detained twice. Once he was thrown to the ground and held briefly, and another time agents reportedly smashed his truck window after questioning his citizenship. He was released after proving his status as detailed by PBS NewsHour, WCNC, and the Charlotte Observer. The Department of Homeland Security responded on X, claiming he refused lawful commands, but North Carolina Democratic Governor Josh Stein criticized the tactics as racially profiling and picking up random people in parking lots and off sidewalks. He said they stoke fear and divide our community without enhancing safety, according to Yahoo News and Common Dreams.
How are local leaders responding to all this?
Charlotte's Democratic leaders came out strong with a joint statement from Mayor Vi Lyles, Mecklenburg County Board of Commissioners Chair Mark Jarrell, and Charlotte-Mecklenburg Board of Education Chair Stephanie Sneed. They decry the operations for sowing unnecessary fear and uncertainty, affirming that the city's diversity strengthens it, as reported by The Guardian and WFAE. They pointed out similar raids elsewhere detained non-criminals and sparked violent protests. Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden confirmed his office won't assist, sticking to sanctuary policies. Mayor Lyles emphasized the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department is not participating. Questions linger on logistics, like where detainees are held, probably federal facilities or cooperating jails elsewhere in North Carolina, given the local non-cooperation, and how long the operation will last, per Oregon Public Broadcasting and BPR News.
Transparency seems like a big issue here. Have officials released details on the detainees?
Not comprehensively, Grace. As of today, November 17th, neither the Department of Homeland Security nor CBP has put out a full detainee-by-detainee report with names or anonymized IDs, specific prior convictions with dates, immigration statuses, arrest locations, or detention spots for those 80-plus arrestees. Bovino promised more updates on social media but only shared details on a handful so far. This echoes issues in his prior operations, like Chicago's September to November 2025 crackdown, with over 3,000 arrests, where only a few names and charges were disclosed amid reports of U.S. citizens detained, protester clashes, and even a fatal shooting during a traffic stop, as covered by PBS NewsHour and The Washington Post. Los Angeles efforts faced lawsuits over excessive force, including chemical agents against protesters, leading to a judge ordering daily reports from Bovino on the Chicago op. Independent groups like the Women's Refugee Commission and American Immigration Council have long criticized CBP for lacking detailed monthly detainee records and reviews, per their sites and vera.org. The Department of Homeland Security's October 2025 press release claimed 70% of ICE arrests involve criminals with convictions or charges, but a June 2025 report showed nearly half of detainees had no records and fewer than 30% had serious ones, contrasting those claims.
What about due process for those arrested?
Detainees, as non-citizens in removal proceedings, have constitutional rights under the 5th and 14th Amendments, including fair hearings to challenge evidence. But unlike criminal cases, there is no government-appointed counsel. They get lists of free or low-cost legal services from ICE and phone access after 24 hours in CBP custody. Critics say expedited deportations make representation tough, as a federal judge has ruled in recent cases, according to the American Immigration Council and the Los Angeles Times.
And how does this fit into the bigger picture under the Trump administration?
It's a clear pattern, Grace, targeting Democratic-led sanctuary cities to enforce immigration laws aggressively. Building on Bovino's Chicago and Los Angeles raids that netted thousands but drew probes for force and mistakes. Tags from related Associated Press stories in PBS NewsHour link it to Border Patrol, Donald Trump News, ICE raids, and immigration, including protests like tear gassing in Chicago. Trump's call for 10,000 more agents after derailing a bipartisan border bill, and rulings on migrant child care. Despite the Department of Homeland Security not responding to inquiries, as noted by The Guardian and Oregon Public Broadcasting, it highlights debates over whether these raids prioritize serious criminals or just cast a wide net, especially in a diverse city like Charlotte facing federal versus local tensions.
Ethan, that's a web of complexity we've unraveled here, from the traps set by agents to the fears ensnaring communities. Thanks so much for that thorough breakdown. Sources: PBS NewsHour, The Guardian, U.S. edition, Oregon Public Broadcasting, OPB, CBS News, WCNC, The Charlotte Observer, WFAE, The Washington Post, WSOC-TV, DHS.gov, Yahoo News, Common Dreams, BPR News, American Immigration Council, Los Angeles Times, vera.org. Here are some other headlines. President Donald Trump is flipping the script and turning the page on a chapter he once kept closed, urging Republicans in Congress to back the release of government files tied to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, according to reporting from The Guardian. In a move that's both a reversal and a reveal, Trump posted on his Truth Social platform that, "We have nothing to hide," giving a green light to transparency as the House readies a vote that could come as soon as this week. It's a marked about-face that has some allies asking why now, and some critics saying the timing reads like a plot twist with footnotes. Inside the GOP, the normally lockstep, pro-Trump chorus hit a discordant note. Representative Thomas Massie publicly questioned whether this push is a last-ditch effort to head off a full unsealing of the documents, raising the stakes and the eyebrows in equal measure. For a party that's prided itself on unity, this is less marching band and more jazz trio, improvisational, edgy, and heavy on the solo riffs. The politics of disclosure are playing out in full view as the House prepares to vote, with pressure mounting inside the Republican conference and calls growing louder for a comprehensive accounting of who knew what and when. Trump's post, part declaration, part deflection, seeks to showcase confidence. If there's nothing to hide, why hide anything? Still, Skeptics suggest this could be an attempt to curate the curtain raise before the house lights fully come up. The wider backdrop is a public hungry for receipts, and receipts for the public. The Epstein saga has long been a lightning rod, with questions orbiting networks of power like moths to a very bright and very guarded flame. Epstein died in jail in 2019, but his case continues to cast a long, controversial shadow across politics, finance, and entertainment. Each file hints at a trail, each trail hints at a tale, and Washington is bracing for the narrative whiplash that fresh disclosures could bring. The White House, meanwhile, faces political crosswinds from suspicions among some of Trump's supporters that powerful individuals have been protected in the past. That skepticism has proven sticky, and today's call to open the books could either scrape it off or make it set like concrete. If transparency is the disinfectant, expect both parties to check the label for side effects. As Congress queues up the vote, the Republican conference must choose its track, fast lane to full release, or caution flag for selective sprinting. Trump's swing from hush to rush puts his party on the spot, toggling between base instincts and broader accountability. And for lawmakers, the calculus isn't just political, it's archival. How much history can you handle, and how soon can you handle it? In a capital city that thrives on secrets and survives on spin, this is one storyline where the spin cycle may stop, and the file drawer might finally open. For now, the headline writes itself, from sealed to revealed, with the GOP's internal glue tested by what comes out in the wash. That's all we have for now. Today's episode was made by Alexander King with GPT-5, Gemini Pro 2.5, Gemini Flash 2.5, and Google Cloud Text-to-Speech. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow, Alex.